Hi, this is John Krysinsky, Pittsburgh Soccer Now, for Pittsburgh Sports Live. And with me today, we are on the eve, probably this, many people might see this before, maybe even after, but the Pittsburgh Riverhounds will take on University of Pittsburgh men's soccer team in a friendly scrimmage, preseason for the Riverhounds, spring season for the Pitt men's soccer team. But with me, Robby Dambrot. Robby, newly signed to the Hounds, but not unfamiliar to Pittsburgh soccer fans for a number of reasons, or Pittsburgh sports fans for a number of reasons. Robby, welcome, I guess, officially welcome back to Pittsburgh.
Thank you. It's good to be back.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's been a little bit of a whirlwind in terms of coming back to Pittsburgh and trying to get settled in, but nice to sign ahead of the season, preseason, I bet. Nice to have this know where you're going before the preseason even started, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. I know a lot of guys, the off season can be a stressful time. So it was good to know where I was headed and just focus on what I could do to get ready.
Yeah, so your background is you came from, obviously you were at Akron, then you came to Pitt, and then obviously you found your way with the Loudoun United getting signed there. It's been quite a journey for you, hasn't it?
Yeah, it definitely has. I've been lucky to play for a lot of good coaches, great coaches throughout my career, and I have no doubt that's what has led me to here into another great coach. So I'm excited.
Yeah, I mean, talk about that first of all. You're it's in your blood, isn't it? I mean, your dad's a coach. So obviously your dad, the head coach at Duquesne University, men's basketball. Um, but yeah, I mean, I'm sure you value and learn a lot from good coaches along the way. I mean, maybe talk about some of your experience. We love to talk about Jay Vidovich around here, but just talk about some of the influences you've had in your life in terms of your soccer development.
Yeah, I think it all started in my youth career. I played for a great coach and a former Pittsburgh guy as well, Dan Zemansky, who his son Ben Zemansky played for the
Yeah,
Hounds as well
wow.
a few years back. Yeah, then I was lucky to play for Jared Embick at Akron, another great coach, Final Fours. That led me to Jay Vidovich at Pittsburgh, who's done incredible things there and continues to do incredible things there. So played for him, played for another one of his disciples, Ryan Martin at Loudoun United, who is another great coach, part of that same Vidovich, Jay Martin soccer coaching tree. Yeah, and all those guys added certain things to my game and helped me in my life as well. So I couldn't be more thankful for the path I've taken and the coaches I've come across along the way.
Yeah, what about let's go back when you're growing up. I mean, your dad's is a basketball coach. I'm a big crossover basketball soccer guy. Like that's my language, right? I love both sides. I mean, I might love basketball more than soccer, but I manage a soccer site, so go figure. But anyway, but you know, what about you? It's growing up. Were both part of it? Did you really go towards soccer earlier and younger and just kind of stick with that? What was it like for you?
I played a little bit of everything growing up. I think basketball and soccer were always my favorites. My mom actually is the one that got me into soccer. My dad knew nothing about it. But now he swears he knows a lot about it now just from
Yeah.
watching my games and things like that. But yeah, so those were my two favorites. And then as I got older, I really didn't hit a growth spurt until late. So I was always the smallest guy on the basketball court, and it was starting to seem like it was far-fetched to have a future in that. So I really just focused on soccer and played basketball strictly during basketball season. Most of my energy went into soccer. So that's where I am now. So
Who's winning horse at your house?
well, we
In
don't
the
even
backyard
play.
driveway or whatever.
We don't even play. My family's too competitive. We'll start fighting.
Yeah, there you go. All right. So you mentioned something that's very interesting. Excuse me. Uh, Sorry, Robby. But yeah, you mentioned something that was really interesting, and we hear a lot about this specialization in sports nowadays. Kids that play one sport, when they're 10 or 11 or 12. But there's got to be value though, growing up playing multiple sports, wasn't there for you?
I think so. I mean, I played basketball up until my senior year. I played junior season and that was it. But I always noticed, people would always tell me like, oh, you're a soccer player, you're going to be so fit going into basketball season. And I just remember my first day of basketball, I'd be winded and just exhausted that first
Right.
day, just all the explosive cuts and actions. And then, going from basketball season straight back into soccer in the spring while playing soccer in the winter as well, I was just so in such good shape. I had the explosive actions, I had the endurance from soccer, and that's when I really felt my best. So I think all those sports kind of give you different things and different looks I've no doubt that specializing might be helpful for some, but you definitely pick up a lot of strengths and qualities through playing a lot of different things as well. So it's definitely a tough balance, and everyone has a different solution to that.
Yeah, you see guys like Manu Ginobili, obviously a lot of the international flavor in the basketball side. Now, I mean, you can certainly see those guys, kind of have that spacing has become such an important piece of the basketball now. And I think a lot of that comes from understanding these guys played soccer and how important is spacing in soccer and using the space effectively. I think that's been a significant influence, don't you?
Yeah, right. It's crazy how similar the sports actually are, in terms of spacing and even like concepts defensively are pretty similar as well. So yeah, you definitely see a lot of similarities in the sports.
So speaking of defenders, defending, you've jumped into the situation being a professional player at Loudoun United. That means you had to play the Riverhounds a bunch of times during the year. You had to face somebody like coming down the right side, like Russell Cicerone, that kind of thing. Um, Probably a lot of really good players at this level. How has that helped you last couple of years at Loudoun?
Yeah, I think just there's a bunch of good players in this league. So playing Pittsburgh, especially, they're always a top team in the East and in the whole league, really. So I faced a lot of good players in those matchups, and it's just exciting to be playing alongside them from now on.
Yeah, for sure. And I think from a physical standpoint, a lot of people would say that too,
No doubt.
huh? Let me take a step back though, real quick. Again, scrimmaging Pitt tomorrow. I'm sure that will feel like, wow, pretty exciting for you. Just that experience of transferring along with Shane, and I think there were some other players that moved over from Akron too, that kind of helped build Pitt to get Pitt to where it is now. But just talk about Jay Vidovich's impact in terms of on that with that program, but also in your development.
Yeah, Jay Vidovich was the whole entire reason I ended up at the University of Pittsburgh. I think when it came down to my decision to transfer, there were a lot of bells and whistles that other teams had that Pitt maybe didn't at the time, but I decided that soccer was I was going to go all in on it. So Jay Vidovich was the best person to help me do that. And yeah, so it was a no-brainer to go there. And I tell people all the time, it wasn't a matter of if Jay was going to turn that program around, but when. And it was really cool to be a part of that transition. I just wish the success would have come a little bit sooner and I could have
Right.
enjoyed that first NCAA
The
tournament.
Final Four came couple of years, you were kind of in that, but you were a real big part of it, really, because you helped build the program. But you were also experienced, maybe as a young player, being part of a really great program at Akron too.
Yeah, I was lucky. Got to play with some really great Akron teams as well. So
All right, and then what's going on here? Like you followed Shane, and was that did he recruit you, or what was going on there? Or was your dad? Who was more influential in getting you to come to the Riverhounds? Was it your dad? Was it Shane? Was it your family? I don't know. Just curious.
it's actually so funny how me and Shane's journey have turned out. I think even with my dad being here, my family being here, it really played a minimal part in me
Mhm.
in my decision. I think every decision I've ever made has been, what's the best situation for me and my soccer career, and then my family being here, Shane being here, um, and friends, everything like that have just been the icing on the cake, really.
So now you're here, and Bob Lilly is your coach. What are your what could you, if you can describe Bob in a few words, what would somebody say? What's Bob Lilly like to play for?
I'd say he's extremely passionate. He's particular, detail oriented, and I think the best part about Coach Lilly, from what I've seen so far, is that he knows what he wants, and he's not going to accept anything less. So, yeah, just really excited to continue learning from him and soaking up as much as I can.
So and again today with the signing of Dos Santos, who played in Marshall, it seems like he's stacking the back line there. It's just that just seems to be that way because those are all the signings that have been announced so far. Um, yeah, you throw a bunch of and Arturo Ordonez, another former Pitt player. I don't believe you guys didn't cross. I think
No.
basically he was brought in to replace Shane and you. So that's a pretty interesting addition to this club as well.
Yeah, no doubt. I think you keep seeing these Pitt players going pro, and that's just the testament to what Coach Vidovich and those guys are doing over at Pitt.
Yeah, and it's almost like a pipeline now.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's
But
exciting.
yeah, so this back line, you're more of a left. You like to play out on the left side and get wide and get forward and that sort of thing. I mean, maybe somebody that hasn't seen you play, maybe just talk about your game a little bit and what you can bring to the table.
I think I've played just about every position throughout my soccer career. Professionally, been mainly a left back or left center back. I think Bob sees me more as a left back. He likes my attacking qualities. I'm someone who likes to go box to box, play both sides of the ball, and really just do whatever I'm asked of. That's really my number one goal is always to win. So whatever it takes to get results, I'm willing to do.
Now, you've been with a very young club, Loudoun, the last couple of years. What's it like to step foot into the locker room in Pittsburgh, to see Conardo Forbes, to see USL's all-time leading scorer, Dane Kelly, to be, around guys like Russell and Alex Dixon? I mean, must be a really cool atmosphere.
Yeah, it's awesome so far. I've loved it. I'm just really excited, and it's very different. At Loudoun, the primary goal was really to develop players, where here it's about results, it's about winning. So just that change of pace is exciting for me. As much as I loved kind of the role I had at Loudoun and leading those guys and developing the young kids, it's really exciting to play with, like you said, the all-time assist leader in Kenny, and then the all-time leading scorer in Dane. So there's some really good players in this locker room, and I'm just excited to learn as much as I can from those guys.
Durability is always an issue. The league like USL Championship, I think last year was probably your first real, because I think 2019 you came on a little later to Loudoun, and then 20 was short, and everybody just seemed like stop and starts. But last year was your first real full long season, and you played a lot of minutes. So what does it take to get through a long season like that?
It's tough. I mean, it's demanding for sure physically. I think last season, especially because it was a little shortened because of COVID, there were many 2-game weeks, things like that. I think this schedule this year, it's a little more spread out. So I like to think it'll be a little easier physically, but you never know what can happen game in, game out, training sessions, as hard as we train. So um, yeah, you just got to kind of roll with the punches and see what happens and do as much as you can off the field to take care of yourself and get yourself ready to go for that next session, next game. Yeah, but it's a grind for sure, and that's one thing I've learned throughout my career. It's not easy.
It'll definitely be a long season. It's long for us just watching you guys go through it. It's like what happens in March and then kind of doesn't sometimes always translate to what's happening in October and November. But Robbie, before we wrap up, I just started doing this in some of my one-on-one features. Asked this sort of question. I'll put you on the spot a little bit, but 3 words that describe you without explanation.
Wow. As a player or as a person?
As just you.
Okay. Let's see. Competitive, number 1, I'd say. Fun and resilient. That's probably the 3 words I'd say.
Well, I think Pittsburgh Riverhound fans will be very happy to hear all those 3 qualities right there. Competitive, fun, resilient. The Steel Army for sure. They like the fun part. So just be ready for that. But yeah, Robbie, man, thank you so much. It was a pleasure to interview you. Looking forward to getting out there at some point when maybe the weather gets better. I don't know if I can handle 25 degrees tomorrow at Ambrose Urbanic Field. That's on top of the hill. I'm always freezing my butt off up there in October and November. So I don't know if I'm might be chicken. I might not make it up there tomorrow.
I don't blame you.
But I'm sure you're excited about it.
Yeah, very excited.
All right. Well, you get to see Coach Vidovich and all the new Pitt players, so it should be a really great, a little friendly between both sides tomorrow. All right, Robbie, thanks for joining me again. Look forward to the season and seeing you out there at Highmark Stadium.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right, take care.